for you is that Mr. Fauci received a preemptive pardon from former President Joe Biden, covering his time in the lead on some of these COVID-19 issues. Do you and the White House believe that charges could still be brought against Dr. Fauci going forward?
I love the question, and here's why it's important today. Fauci, if he lies to Congress today, then the pardon has no bearing, because this is a crime he's committed since the pardon. So he's got a really hard choice. I believe when push comes to shove, he is going to do either one of two things. He is going to cite the Fifth Amendment and blame people trying to lynch him on the Hill, where it's like, no. He's either going to cite the Fifth Amendment or he's going to have a really bad dose of I can't recall. But the problem with I can't recall is all we have to do is read his diaries and see what he had to say to prove that he is a liar. So it's going to be a really interesting thing. But for the American people, please understand, this man, I fought him. I was the only guy fighting him. And it cost me a lot, because he was the guy. But he lied to you repeatedly in ways which had material effects on people dying, people getting sick. And don't even get me started on the vaccine issue, because there's all sorts of things we could talk about there. And the problem with the vaccine ultimately was that Fauci and Pfizer didn't give us the data, which was beginning to show that we should have more concern about whether people were taking that vaccine.
The answer is, if there are oversight hearings, I absolutely will cooperate fully and testify before the Congress if asked. You may not know, but I've testified before the Congress a few hundred times, over the last 40 years or so. So I have no trouble testifying. We can defend and explain and stand by everything that we've said. So I have nothing to hide.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
We haven't acknowledged these injection injuries. These people can't get treatment. They're being gaslit by their doctors. So it's all in your head. The rate of the injection injury of suicides is increasing because they've given up hope, because our medical establishment and federal health agencies completely failed them, failing to acknowledge it.
Sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people.
Honesty like taking the Fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs, they know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people.
But I use this chart as a comparison. So you've got ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. These are average, again, Avayers doesn't improve causation, but there's correlation. It's there for safety signals. So ivermectin, over 30 years of FDA reports, 17 deaths per year. Hydroxychloroquine, over 38 years of reporting, 142 deaths per year. Remdesivir, over 5.5 years, 546 deaths per year. The COVID injection, almost 7,000 deaths per year. Which is safest? What did the FDA freak us out about? Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, when they turned a complete blind's eye toward the injections industry.
Say that the COVID-19 pandemic has informed how the second Trump administration is approaching public health and whether you think we are now more prepared for another possible pandemic.
I think we're less prepared. I think you're right, though. I think the first 2 years of the pandemic created a lot of anger in this country. I think in that first year when we didn't have anything, we didn't have antivirals till October of 2020. We didn't have monoclonal antibodies till November of 2020, didn't have vaccines till December of 2020. We didn't have anything. The virus was killing hundreds of people a day. It was spread asymptomatically. So what do? We closed schools, shuttered businesses, restricted travel, isolated, quarantined, social distance, and that made a lot of people angry. They thought that was massive government overreach. In year 2, 2021, when we had a vaccine, you couldn't go anywhere without your vaccine card, right? You can go to your favorite bar, restaurant, sporting event. You may be fired from work. That also really upset people. And I think that what you're seeing is this sort of libertarian backlash, this all under the name of sort of medical freedom movement, which is like in many ways sort of an anti-science, anti-public health movement. And that's what today was. It was sort of a theater of the absurd, with the themes being anti-science, anti-public health, anti-expertise.
Do you think that the DOJ should reopen the investigation into the auto pen, specifically pertaining to Fauci?
Well, the only thing you can really think about is the auto pen, because the most powerful thing the president has, they say, is the power of pardon. So he was pardoned by Biden, and I respect that. I know how powerful it is. It's a very powerful, they say it's literally the most powerful thing a president has. Now, whether or not I sign my things directly, always, almost everything I sign directly. You're witness to many of them. He signed very few. The only thing I know that he signed was Hunter Biden's pardon, but I'm not sure that he signed, he probably didn't sign this one. So I can't tell you what the law is. I've heard that you have to have a lot of proof. You need to have letters. You need to have all sorts of things, that the person operating the auto pen has to know exactly what it's all about. He didn't know what it was about because I saw him testify. So maybe there's something on the auto pen. Other than that, the power of pardon is very powerful.
You called our governor, Governor DeSantis, and I'm going to quote this so I get it right out of your journals, a total jerk, that he is a complete disgrace, that he is blocking local authorities from mandating masks in various locations, including schools. And you were very concerned and upset that we were actively, and I'm going to quote, criticizing you, and we talked virtually every day about being wrong on everything. And what is astounding is that you wrote you feared, because of that, because we were questioning our government, because we were fighting back for the truth from our government, from scientifically based recommendations, because we were pushing for that. You said you feared that our democracy is in dire danger.
So let me ask you an opportunity to answer one question. Will you apologize, just apologize, to the people who you harmed through your actions? Will you say, do you have the dignity to just say you're sorry?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
So you won't apologize to the military members who Joe Biden summarily dismissed from the military for not taking the vaccine?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Will you apologize to the business owners that lost their business, shattered their lives, and they'll never recover?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Will you apologize to the moms who had to force their infant children, 2, 3, 4-year-olds, to put masks on, and what that did and how that traumatized those kids?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Will you apologize to the family members of the people who died because they took your advice and not only got the first vaccine, but the 5, 6 other boosters that they did not need?
To answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Will you apologize to that mom from Ohio for being arrested for watching a football game with her family?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
So you didn't know who wrote the Fifth Amendment. It's James Madison. Lived in this town. I can only wonder what he would think of somebody like you invoking his writings to shield culpability for the actions that you took.
Wednesday, 29 July, year of our Lord 2026. Today was great, but where now comes the action. The mainstream media, I know this because my phone was blowing up, people outraged that the Senate would do this today, saying, how can you do this? You're just trying to divert. We watch your show. You, Bannon, are just trying to divert away from the economy, the war. Oh no, au contraire. We'll take those head on, and we don't agree with all the policy decisions. We don't have to. The policies, they're looking at a range of alternatives. They get more information than we do. Oftentimes, they're going to do what they're going to do. Maybe we can try to influence that by laying out some alternatives, and maybe the audience gets interested enough, maybe make a phone call or send a text or an email on occasion. But this is in our wheelhouse, baby. Remember, 20 January 2020, the show, went from war room impeachment to 1 hour of impeachment. The rest of the show turned to war room pandemic. Why? We knew this was big. We're also the first ones to report when Peter Navarro called it. This is how good Navarro is. He called it this morning on C-SPAN an hour before he even got going. He said the guy's going to take the fifth. It's going to take the fifth. Navarro got in a throwdown with that murdering monster in the Situation, I think on the 23rd, about quarantines coming back here to the United States. We were telling Trump, oh, you can't do that. You can't quarantine. God, you're coming from China. Why would you quarantine? Fauci is a narcissist, megalomania, all that, but it's not simply Fauci. What they're trying to do is Fauci's a bad guy, but no. It's the system. We have a systemic problem. That is what our fight is. To deconstruct the administrative state and to give a hammer blow to the deep state, a hammer blow. I was talking to people today and said, well, Fauci's got a pardon. I don't care. He's got 20 other people that directly reported him. They're guilty of crimes. Where's their indictment? Where's the grand jury? Where's the action? I'm so tired of people whining, well, we can't do it because, I don't know, he's got a pardon. Screw the pardon. His lawyer doesn't think the pardon works. He wouldn't have him up there taking a fifth. Action, action, action. We need to play ball. We need to play hardball. Where is DOJ? Where is the FBI? Where is HA? Where are you guys? Hello? These are national security problems. Fauci is a monster that roams the earth. Why is no one around him? Why is Collins? Why have you not indicted that demon? All of them, indict them. Make them spend millions of dollars of their own money and think about nothing else in the winning years when we want to kick back? No. We're going to prosecute you for life in prison. The left knows how to do this. They're relentless. They will not give up. The inaction, the excuses, Fauci's got a pardon. Who says he's got a pardon? Who says he's got a pardon? Have we fully investigated that? I haven't seen it. Have we fully investigated? His lawyer clearly doesn't think he's got one. Got him up there taking a fifth, getting humiliated because he knows he would go to prison. They threw the lawyer out. The lawyer's a fighter. Of course I'd throw him out. Why do they fight and we roll over? On everything. They're getting rid of Bill Pulte, the most successful cabinet member they have had, full stop, in 4 weeks. In 4 weeks. Short commercial break. Back in a moment.
Say that the COVID-19 pandemic has informed how the second Trump administration is approaching public health and whether you think we are now more prepared for another possible pandemic.
I think we're less prepared. I think you're right, though. I think the first 2 years of the pandemic created a lot of anger in this country. I think in that first year when we didn't have anything, we didn't have antivirals till October of 2020. We didn't have monoclonal antibodies till November of 2020, didn't have vaccines till December of 2020. We didn't have anything. The virus was killing hundreds of people a day. It was spread asymptomatically. So what do? We closed schools, shuttered businesses, restricted travel, isolated, quarantined, social distance, and that made a lot of people angry. They thought that was massive government overreach. In year 2, 2021, when we had a vaccine, you couldn't go anywhere without your vaccine card, right? You can go to your favorite bar, restaurant, sporting event. You may be fired from work. That also really upset people. And I think that what you're seeing is this sort of libertarian backlash, this all under the name of sort of medical freedom movement, which is like in many ways sort of an anti-science, anti-public health movement. And that's what today was. It was sort of a theater of the absurd, with the themes being anti-science, anti-public health, anti-expertise.
They're absurd. Let's start by arresting this guy. Theater of the absurd. Fauci's a mass murderer. A mass murderer. Oh, this is anti-science. Tell me where the anti-science was. Look at his emails and text messages compared to what he said and compared to what we know about reality. That guy right there you're part of the problem, dude. Fauci's got 20 or 25 people around him. Birch, all of them. Why are they not in front of a grand jury, and why are they not in front of a grand jury that's not in Washington, D.C.? Let's go out someplace to maybe where they destroyed cities and communities and young lives. Oh, I don't know. I can pick a half a dozen. Why hasn't a grand jury been impaneled? Today was great, but that was dramatic. It was theater. It was amazing. Where is the action? And to know that we're going to have a vote next week. No, have a vote tonight. You passed Jay Clayton quick enough. You had to get Pulte out of there. When the apparatus wants to do something, it'll move. Got to get Pulte out of there. Got to get Pulte. In Politico reports today, it's Ratcliffe that picked him. We had the corrupt, incompetent CIA that has helped get us into this war, in a dead end by their bad analysis because the Mossad's controlling them. And now we know from Politico that Ratcliffe picked Clayton, who did nothing at the SEC, and yet they move heaven and earth in the middle of the night. They come back from the funeral. They'll work late to get Clayton, to get Pulte out of there. Why? Pulte is a patriot. He's done more than all the other cabinet members. Why? He went in there and shredded it in 4 weeks against enormous fight from the deep state. That's why they want him out of there. Clayton, you better be delivering. We're going to dog you every day. You better be delivering, bro. You did nothing at the SEC. And here's how corrupt it is. He's general counsel of Alibaba when they go public. That's where he makes his money, not at Sullivan and Cromwell. There's not even any questions asked about that, virtually nothing. And they've now designated a military technology company, which we argued about years ago. So now you have a guy that made his money off a CCP, People's Liberation Army, military technology company is head of DNI. That's fine, because when the system wants to move to protect the system, there's nothing to stand in their way. No, Rand Paul, don't wait till we're going to circulate and going to have a vote maybe next week. No, have it tonight. What else do you need to know? You wonder why people are furious. You wonder why so many people are not showing up. You know why small dollar donations are zero. This is the reason. And you can have that guy come in here and mock the Make America Healthy Again movement and mock MAGA. They're anti-science and they're all puffed up. Folks, if they win in November, this is what you're going to get every day. It's coming back. The transgender, the DEI, it ain't left. It's gone underground. Like the Marxists know how to go underground. That's why we got to stop calling it communism. It's Marxism. Here's why. They're not communists. This is all run by big donors that are cultural Marxists. They're atheists. They hate the United States. They hate Christianity. Biggest thing they hate, I don't know, heterosexual Christian males. Maybe not the top of the list, but close to the top of the list. But they want all the money for themselves, among the richest people in the history of the earth. Action, action, action. No, we don't need a convention in Texas. We don't need all these other fundraising. You need to generate interest by the grassroots that will go door to door, that will canvass, that understands the power and the potential of Trump. You didn't have Trump, you wouldn't have a country. And right there, Fauci and all that, it's all coming back. If you don't take care of it now, it's all coming back. They're just gone underground. They're in hibernation. They're all coming back. The transgender madness, DEI, Fauci, this whole thing, the medical serfdom. Well, this is a libertarian. I ain't a libertarian. This is a libertarian movement of people that, are crazy or anti-science. After all of that was put out today, you have the gall and the balls, and CNN just sits there, the morons interviewing them. Oh, that's quite interesting. They're all going nuts today. Where are the lawsuits against Pfizer? Where are the lawsuits against big media? Where are the lawsuits against the individual hosts that push this narrative day after day after day after day? And what about the social media platforms? Tech bros hanging around, going to do this, going to do that. Let's get them all, round them up. They all got to go to prison. Hey, because they're going to do it. Trust me. Trust me. And Fauci's sitting there looking all long in the tooth and mopey and old like a little old man. Yes, Fauci's a megalomaniac. He's a narcissist. He's a purely evil guy. That's not the problem. The system is the problem. The system that gives Anthony Fauci power. The system that protects Anthony Fauci. The system that makes up Anthony Fauci to be some modern saint and modern hero. That's the problem. Wade Allyn Root, your thoughts, sir?
Well, I think it's all connected, and I've said this for years. I believe that the COVID vaccine, the pandemic, the mail-in ballots, the stolen 2020 election, Dr. Fauci, the deaths, the Democrat Party, the deep state, the Chinese Communist Party, it's all connected. I said from day one, this was a purposeful attack on the United States. And I said from day one, China wanted to end Trump's presidency. I said from day one, the Democrat Party was in cahoots with China. I said from day one, Dr. Fauci was in cahoots with the Democrat Party in China to destroy Trump's presidency, to destroy Trump's economy, to make sure that everyone was scared to death with frauds like lockdowns and social distancing and masks. All of them were pure fraud and theater. And the whole intent was to scare the American people so that they'd be afraid to vote in person, so that they would vote by literally mail-in ballot only and ballot harvesting and ballot drop boxes. They would never want to stand in line and vote. They were scared to death. And what did you do when you introduced mail-in ballots? You introduced the stolen election. That's where the fraud came from. The mail-in ballots, the ballot harvesting, the ballot drop boxes with no voter ID. It's all tied together. I've said for years now, the Democrat Party, I grew up in a mafia neighborhood. I grew up in a total Italian mafia neighborhood. These guys are the Gambinos, except they've got the government behind them now. Instead of the government against them, the Gambinos are the government. Who ever heard of standing in front of the United States Senate and taking the fifth 111 times? Only mobsters do that. This guy Fauci is organized crime. That idiot that you just showed on TV, what is it, Offit? He's the biggest vaccine pusher in the world. These guys are paid by Big Pharma. They're so greedy, they don't care if millions die with deadly untested vaccines. They don't care about anything except winning. If they control the government, they make you get vaccinated and you die.
And it's going to happen again. Don't think it's gone away. It's gone underground. They're hibernating on transgender ideology, DEI, the vaccine, all of it. They're just hiding. That's why they got to be rooted. They got to be dug out, root and branch now. And like the Romans, we got to get some Roman justice. We have to salt the earth around it like they did at Carthage. Tear it down and salt the earth around it so it can never grow back. China, Xi should bring a big checkbook when he comes to see the president at the state visit in September. How many trillions of dollars does the Chinese Communist Party owe the American people, sir?
At least $10 trillion. Maybe it's $15 trillion. They sent COVID to us at the exact moment that A, Trump was winning the trade wars with China, and B, he was winning the election. It was going to be a landslide because he had the greatest runaway exploding economy in history, and they had to destroy it. And this was all a purposeful attack on the United States of America by China, by the Chinese Communist Party, in cahoots with the Democrat Party, and the guy coordinated it all, started it all, funded it all, Dr. Anthony Fauci. This is an incredible conspiracy. You know what's funny, Steve? They all call me a conspiracy theorist. I've been on TV I've had my own shows for 11 years now, going on 12 years. Every single conspiracy I've ever talked about has been proven true. Every single one of them. And you go to MSNBC and CNN, every conspiracy they talk about has never turned out to be true. It's all made up conspiracies. So they call us, what did Saul Alinsky say? Look in the mirror, and whatever you see, blame it on your opposition. So they are the conspiracy theorists. We tell raw truth. You and I tell truth after truth after truth. They ban us, they censor us, they call us conspiracy theorists.
Doesn't matter.
But we know exactly what the truth is. These guys are murderers, mass murderers and crimes against humanity. And this guy Fauci should hang. If found guilty, he should hang.
Let's go.
A jury of his peers, he should hang.
But let's take 25 guys around him and hit him with a blowtorch. I want indictments on the 25 people around Fauci. If Fauci's got a pardon, we'll dig down on that. We got a separate deal. We'll go dig down on that. But let's indict the 25 around, and let's go get Collins as boss. Okay, that guy's so high and mighty. They're all puffed up. Let's see how puffed up they are after they get indicted with crimes. Hang on a second. I'm going to hold you through the break. Come right back to you, Wayne. Wait on Root's with us. Natalie G. Winters, I think, is going to be with us, too, one of the great investigators about Dr. Fauci. Next in the War Room.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Wayne, you've got so much content out there. It's all great. Where do people go to get the podcast? Where do they go to get particularly the call-in show? Your coordinates on social media, where is it, sir?
Sure, it's rootforamerica.com is the website. Rootforamerica.com. Easy to remember. It's what I do all day. I root for this country. My TV shows, America's Top 10 Countdown on RAV on weekends, following your show on Saturday mornings, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And then my new show every single night, Monday through Friday. It's America Speaks. It's a call-in show. It starts in about 25 minutes. You can call in live and talk to me, 1-800-347-ROOT, 1-800-347-ROOT. And you can email me anytime, wayneroot@gmail.com. One quick comment, Steve. You say if they win, then we're dead. They're coming back after us. They've weaponized government. They're back with everything bad, DEI, taxes, regulations, vaccines. Well, guess what? That's why we need what I talk about in your show so many times, a national security emergency for elections. The Senate will never pass the SAVE Act. I said that from the first day. That's why I came up with this idea, to overcome the Senate national security emergency that can only be declared by the President of the United States. And how do you know Fauci's bad? They pardoned him. Why did they pardon him? He's not a politician. Why did they pardon a doctor? Because it's all tied together with the stolen election and the mail-in ballots. They're scared to death that you'll find out. Fauci was in the middle of all of it.
They're trying to get all kind of gimmicks. They say they got to go home to get the support. 97% of Republicans or 99% of Republican support. They don't need to go anywhere. It's all gimmicks they're trying to do now. It's never going to pass. We need the national security emergency and all the documents like an EO to take action today. The president's going to do it. You're laying the predicates being laid perfectly. This is why Pulte is so important. So Jay has got to, Clayton has got a big shoes to fill. And every day we're going to be dogging him on like, where's the next release of this? Wayne Allyn Root, thank you, sir. Appreciate you and appreciate your brilliant construct of this national security emergency. It's coming. It's coming. Take your number 2 pencil out. Just block the last week of August. It's coming. Fauci. If we can't take care of this one, then let's give it up. Okay? You agree? We're in agreement? I'm going to show you right now. We're going to, by the way, I want to thank the Birch Gold team right now for bearing with us while we're doing all this live coverage of whether Charlie Kirk evidentiary hearing or Fauci. It's a lot going on. Birchgold.com. You want to still point in a turning world, particularly in the turning financial world? Physical gold. Find out all about it, why it's been a hedge. Birchgold.com/Bannon. End of the dollar empire. 8 free installments. A 9th one's coming out. It'll change the way you look at the world. And then you talk to Philip Patrick and the team. and find out why it may be appropriate to you add physical gold to your portfolio now as a hedge against times of financial turbulence like people have done for, 3,000, 4,000 years. Pretty good test run. Let's play. We got Natalie Winters, Natalie G. Winters, and we got a cold open. Let's let it rip.
The sense that the Chinese Communist Party seeks to decouple Western scientists from the West, from America, and have them effectively pledge their allegiance to the Chinese Communist Party. And frankly, the National Institutes of Health, and especially Fauci's NIAID, really subscribes to that mentality. It was only this year, March of 2021, that the Wuhan Institute of Virology scrubbed the National Institutes of Health as a research partner from their website. It was also that same time frame that they deleted the names of military-linked and military-funded researchers from China who had been collaborating with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So as we keep hearing, whether it's Fauci, whether it's Ray, whether it's Biden calling for increased investigations into the origins of COVID-19, we have a lot of the information already, whether it's Dr. Yan, whether it's the Wuhan Institute of Virology's website itself and what they're choosing to delete. The information is there. We just need people who aren't compromised by the Chinese Communist Party to actually act on it. I think that there's more revisionist history going on in this entire interview than you see with the 1619 Project and critical race theory. For Dr. Fauci to stand up there and say that he's been at the forefront of trying to get to the bottom of where COVID-19 came from and how he's actually been open to investigations into the lab and pushing for transparency, that is completely wrong, completely bogus, so misguided, so, I don't even know what to say.
Hold, Natalie, hold it. You're too nice. You're too sweet, and you're too well. Your parents did too good a job. That is a bald-faced, pathological lie, is it not, ma'am?
Oh, entirely. There's an article from 2020. I'll read you the headline from National Geographic, which also happens to be the same entity that's publishing his forthcoming book, if that happens to actually come out. But the headline is Fauci, no scientific evidence the coronavirus was made in a Chinese lab. So this is the same man who's been doing media rounds saying that COVID-19, there was absolutely no possibility that it could have come from a Chinese lab. It was only when the National Pulse and other outlets started really getting to the bottom of it, pointing out links, which we'll talk about later in the show, specifically in the form of Dr. Fauci headlining a conference featuring none other than the Wuhan Institute of Virology's Batwoman, Shizhong Li. It was only then that he maybe admitted that there was a slight possibility that COVID-19 could have come from a Chinese lab. So I don't want to hear it from Dr. Fauci.
I do. Oh, no, I do. I want to hear all of it from Dr. Fauci.
Sure. Well, I think the reason that Fauci keeps moving the goalposts, whether it's mandates, no-fly lists, as he appears to endorse, I think the heart of the issue is that they don't ever want this pandemic to end, because on the other side of this pandemic, when all this craziness is over, then comes accountability, then comes the investigations, frankly, what should be criminal investigations into the conduct, not just starting in 2019, but going all the way back to the early 2000s when the NIH was spearheading and pursuing collaboration with, Chinese military-linked labs on gain-of-function research, which we now know, whether it's from FOIA emails, our reporting at the National Pulse, did indeed occur at the Wuhan Institute of Virology all the way through 2014 when that, multi-million-dollar taxpayer-backed grant was funding research again at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. But that's why these people keep wanting to kind of change the metrics for what exactly success is in the pandemic. So now it's, we need 110% of people to be vaccinated and you need 3 vaccines. And believe me, by the time the midterms come around, I'm sure you'll need a 4th vaccine. And the Democrats want, probably the midterm variant to come about so they can ensure mail-in voting and secure another fix for the 2022 midterm. So I think everything that you're seeing on the screen right now, it's all about politics, it's all about power, and that's what it always has been. I think if you look at the voices that they've elevated to try to get you to take the vaccine, and I'm not talking about the Zuckerberg-funded teenagers, but when they wheel Fauci out to tell you to take the vaccine, it's like Fauci and all these people who are, have worked at the NIH for so long, these are the people who created the problem, right? They helped create COVID-19. So why are they the voices that are being elevated to fix COVID-19? I don't trust the people who thought it was a good idea to fund the Wuhan Institute of Virology to tell me what to do with my body. And frankly, I think it's just the broader problem that you see in the American establishment, i.e. the people who have created all these problems, whether it's the Biden family in China, Fauci funding the Wuhan Institute of Virology. They're now telling us how we need to fix the problems that they created and I'm sure profited from.
Natalie, given your investigative reporting, remember the 60 Minutes embarrassed themselves, all the media embarrassed themselves. Today, they're running dogs trying to protect it. What's your assessment of what you saw with the questioning and with Fauci today, ma'am?
It's so in your face. I mean, we talk about all the time on this show the administrative state, the deep state, the unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats. This is that, but like on steroids, and you are actually getting to watch it in real time. But I think if you really go through sort of the irony and metaphorical significance of almost every moment of it, I mean, truly, you can only be left with outrage, starting with the fact that his super expensive, super high bar lawyers, the team of what, a dozen plus, literally, he can only support and pay those people because of the profits that he made from the pandemic, the book deals, the celebrity status, the weird companies that he secretly joined the board of that are dealing in pandemics and mRNA technology. For someone who it seems like had never read the Constitution before, given how he dealt with the pandemic, it's quite ironic to watch him invoking the Fifth Amendment and Mr. I'm the science, trust me, I am the science. I missed that step in the scientific method where you get to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Steve, we have been so right about this for so long. And my criticism and my exasperation there is honestly not even directed at, frankly, that literal, retard that they had on CNN. I didn't know I'm a libertarian. That's news to me, Steve. I guess the War Room is home of, libertarian maxing now. But it's really directed at the Republican establishment. I mean, Senator Rand Paul, I get it. You're working an uphill battle, but you've had 4 years plus to today to make the case. It was kind of all over the place. I still struggle to follow it, and I know these documents better than anyone. And I would encourage this audience, like we have on every single issue, separated the signal from the noise. The noise is clapping like seals at the clips about Fauci, and the signal is that he was the tip of the spear, the chosen poster child, now should be turned fall guy for a scientific industrial complex in Washington, D.C. that is aided and abetted by an ideological brainwashing of the Chinese Communist Party that is both borderless but also welcoming and wanting to collaborate with the Chinese Communist Party because they both fundamentally misunderstand them as an existential kinetic threat, but they also are in bed with them and profiting from it. Like you can see the weird overlap and connectivity with people like Peter Daszak and the Chinese Communist Party. And I would just also add this. Remember the sham impeachment hearings and the trials and the, Hollywood documentary that they literally bought Hollywood producers on for, Dan Goldman, that cast of characters? Like, where was that? Before we even get into the actual criminal investigations, the fact that you brought Fauci there to sit when there's dozens of other people, Ralph Barrick, Fauci's entire staff, Peter Daszak, the EcoHealth Alliance crowd, where were they? Have they been publicly humiliated? I mean, that's the opening bid. That's what I'd start with. And Steve, we on the show have done so much reporting back. I think I was like 19 in those clips. By the way, not making stuff up, just going to, believe it or not, the actual raw materials, the primary sources, the websites, the studies, looking at where the money was going, the unearthed clips. And this is the craziest thing about all of this too, Steve. We could rattle off all the videos we uncovered, how literally Ralph Barrick admits to finding viruses that could kill humans, joking about how he was working to profit off of pandemics, that you should invest in PPE companies. Peter Daszak has a horde of similar videos. The Biden regime continued to give EcoHealth Alliance grants after everything that happened with COVID. Their revenue as a foundation increased by, I think it was like 350%. So I'm struggling to see the ramifications and repercussions for any of these people. And when you look at what is going on now, it's great that we pulled out of the WHO, but that weird public health, which is a euphemism for actually weaponizing health against the public, that apparatus has only seen its funding increase, has only seen the people on their payroll and in their fold become more of an institution. Now it's maybe happening more abroad than it is here in the United States. But why wouldn't these people want to try a pandemic again? We're such clowns. We can't even get the ringleader in charge that they dangle in our face, where we literally get his diary. And the best we can do is some like Twitter clips that sure are fun to watch. But I would actually prefer, Steve, that we were providing live commentary on Anthony Fauci being perp walked right now, not about him saying the Fifth Amendment, invoking it, 100 plus times. So I get it. The neocons, the Republicans who probably want us to lose the midterm so they can go back to just going on TV, doing nothing, and then at least they don't have to act like they actually pretend I want to do something on the border, but I can't. But today is one of those days where I encourage people, do not take the bait. Push for more. This is not the Fox-controlled opposition era. Fauci needs to go to jail, or honestly, we are like all complicit in enabling the next pandemic.
Natalie, brilliant. Where do they go get you? What's your social media? On that note, it's such a perfect ending. Where do folks go to get your Substack and all your content?
Natalie G. Winters on all platforms. And I think you're vindicated on the head on a pike comment. I'm just going to say it.
I tell you what, to look at those clips with Posobiec and Raheem when you were at National Pulse back when you were 18, 19 years old, it's amazing. The reason you nail it is you did the hard work to get there. And we got to do the hard work to put these people in prison. Natalie G. Winters, thank you. Thank you for all your work.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Look, there's 25 people in the first row. Dossack, Barrick, down in Chapel Hill. All of it. They all have to go to prison. And then you find out where the media was covering for them and lying, narrative warfare. This was one of the most catastrophic events in the history of this nation. Sam Faddis. One of the most catastrophic incidents in the history of this nation. We're going to let Fauci come and just take the fifth when he's already got a pardon. He's either got a pardon or he doesn't. And we're going to subpoena him now for a on the record. That's fine. That's great. He'll blow that off. Just do it. But don't wait till next week. Do it tonight. You stayed up at night to get Jay Clayton in. Why is Jay Clayton in? So to block Pulte from doing anything else. Full stop. If Jay Clayton's going to do anything, we're going to dog him every day. Want to see it, bro? What are you releasing? And not just cuts to the DNI so the CIA can take over. Ratcliffe recommended it. Politico says that. I haven't seen any denials. It had to be Ratcliffe. It couldn't have been. You didn't do anything at the Southern District of New York. Nothing. Because they intimidated you. That's what the deep state does. Of course they do it. You got to stand up to them. So I'm waiting, Jay Clayton, for all the great things you're going to reveal. We're waiting. War Room is waiting. And supportive. We're very supportive. But when the deep state wants to do something, they move heaven and earth. They came back last night from the funeral. We're going to stay late. No dinner tonight. We got to get Jay Clayton in. But for Fauci, we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to have a vote next week, and maybe next week for a subpoena. No. Get them all back up. You guys haven't hit a lick. You don't work full days. This is why it's going to have to go. Save America Act ain't going to get passed. They're trying every gimmick in the world. It's not going to do it because they don't want to do it. What they want to do, they do. What they don't want to do, they stumble around and give you the hubbada, 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 hubbada. I want to thank our sponsor, Birch Gold, Bannon, Bannon, 989898. After listening to this tirade today, you need a still point in the turning world. Talk to Philip Patrick and the team of gold IRAs, of how you roll your IRA or 401k. They got all the technical ability to show how you do it in a tax-deferred basis. Do it today. Okay, while we're on the subject, we're going to get omnibus in December. We're going to get a CR to kick down the can down the road because Congress is too lazy and too worthless and too shiftless. We're still working off Biden numbers and Pelosi numbers because they won't really have appropriations. Remember, single subject bill, they just won't do it because it's too hard to go to the Democrats and say, we're going to make some cuts. Where am I going with this? We've had a $1.4 trillion deficit for the first 9 months. You're going to have a 1.8 to 2 trillion. Where did you hear that a year ago? Oh, War Room. Okay, I guess we're on the number. What does that mean? Scott Bessent, our beloved colleague, this now for Treasury. Hell, we had the CEO of the IRS on, a good man, and he told you, hey, look, I got a mandate. I got to get every penny that we think you owe, we got to get. Cameron Kinsey, I just want you on, take a minute or two, because there's all kind of talk around about October extension. Trump says I don't have to pay my income tax. Please tell the War Room Posse and the MAGA base what reality is, ma'am.
Hey, well, thank you so much for having me back on, Steve. I wanted to talk directly to the War Room Posse today, especially it's such an important conversation right now. As you said, April 15th deadline has passed. The IRS is going to start sending those notices out fairly soon. And unfortunately, as you know, Steve, I mean, taxes are one of the biggest sources of stress for millions of Americans, including our War Room Posse. Many members of the posse have called us even recently. They're worried they may have missed something. They don't have all the right documents in order. They simply aren't even sure if they're filing correctly. And this is why Tax Network USA, we have launched a special promotion for our War Room Posse and qualifying taxpayers. This is for the listeners today who have filed that October 15th extension. And before Tax Network USA prepares your return, I'm going to walk you through this. We'll pull your official IRS master tax file so you can see exactly what the IRS already has on you before we file. So we'll review your W-2s, your 1099s, and that information that's already been reported to the IRS. So your return is being prepared using the exact same records the IRS is expecting to see already. So it's an extra layer of protection. It's an extra layer of confidence that just helps reduce the risk of mistakes before your return is even filed. And you're probably asking who qualifies for this, who watching qualifies, whether you're a W-2 employee, an independent contractor who receives 1099s, or you're self-employed running your own business as a sole proprietor, you may qualify for this. And this is really where the savings come in, Steve, because if you have a simple W-2 return, your IRS master tax file pull in your federal tax return would normally cost you about I'd say a little bit more than $250. But for War Room listeners, this is just going to be $49 for you guys. If you're self-employed, you're receiving 1099 income, you have a side hustle, you're your own boss, that same service could cost you more than $1,000, depending on the complexity of your case. But for War Room, you're receiving this complete package for just $300. This is a lot of savings, you guys. We're doing this specifically for you guys as this extension deadline is approaching. This is hundreds of dollars in savings just to help ensure that your return is prepared as accurately as possible to stay clear of these audits that you guys have been calling us about, and making sure that these penalties aren't catching people off guard. So this is a lot different than the investigative call, but hopefully it's going to help a lot of the posse members out.
I just want to make sure it's the same number can you repeat the number? I want to make sure everybody gets it and gets on top of this, because October is hurtling towards us. I realize we're just about to start August, but you got to get on this now. What's the number, Cameron?
Yeah, it's 866-513-5516. You're going to talk to a team member directly. No strings attached. Again, if this isn't for you, that's completely okay. Just talk to a professional. It's still a free consultation. We'll still hear you out and see, what you're going through, help you gather all those necessary documents in order to present a successful case. Or you can go to tnusa.com/Bannon. You can fill out a quick form and somebody will get with you.
Cameron, thank you so much. And thank you for doing this. These things have been enormously successful, and the feedback we got from people is great. So we thank you, ma'am.
Yep. Thank you so much, Steve.
Cameron was in the White House for the first Trump term. I'd like to get her back there. She's a hammer. Take advantage of the 866-513-5516. Call them today. Don't put this off. This is where your angst is coming. October 15th is going to be here before you know it. Okay. Stick around. Ben Harnwell, Explosive Show. I'm back at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Yes, I will be on a rant roll tomorrow morning. Committed. Amazing show we got. I want to thank you for being with us today. Important day. Red Letter Day in the War Room. See you tomorrow morning.
We're united, strong, and free.